What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel. Week 5 preview predictions continuing here in this game, and we're going to be talking about a very huge, very pivotal matchup in the SEC. Two one-loss teams. We got the LSU Tigers going on the road to face the Ole Miss Rebels in Oxford, Mississippi. Should be a very, very fun matchup to watch. The winner of this one can continue their trek on to Atlanta, while the loser is in some trouble in that race. We're going to talk about all that here in this video, but first, gotta take care of some business. Thank you guys so much for the support the channel has seen as of late. If you want to continue to show your support for the channel, hit the subscribe button and ring the bell so you know when videos get uploaded, but there are more ways than that to help me support my channel. You guys are doing one of them right now just by watching the video, and you guys can do more by liking, commenting, sharing, and anything else you guys are willing and or able to do to help me support this channel. Whatever you guys are able to do, hey, means a lot to me. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to dive right on in here to Week 5 predictions. LSU, Ole Miss. Let's get into it. I've already talked about how this is a very pivotal matchup here, while the winner can continue on their trek and be on a fairly good pace towards the SEC championship game. The loser definitely is in some trouble, not only in the SEC race, but the college football playoff race as well, as both of these teams currently sit with one loss. Let's go ahead and dive on into the stats first. Top 20 matchup in the SEC. Let's start with the road team, as we usually do, and talk about the LSU Tigers. Now, what is to note about this LSU Tiger offense? Besides that second half against Florida State, it's been pretty good. And the one thing that's been very consistent about it has been this pass game, and that is in large part due to the play of Jaden Daniels. 1,296 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions with 72% completion percentage, averaging over 10 yards per completion. Daniels is also getting it done on the ground with 193 yards and 2 touchdowns and 45 carries. That's 4.3 yards per carry there, and led by 2 phenomenal wide receivers here in this room. Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas are the only 2 receivers that have over 100 yards receiving on this team, and both of them have over 25 catches. In fact, both of them have over 400 yards receiving, both of them with 5 touchdowns on the year there as well. So those are the 2 guys that really like to get involved. Still got guys like Kyron Lacey and Mason Taylor that sit back there as well. But this is an LSU offense that is pretty inconsistent otherwise, especially up front. They have allowed 15 sacks so far this season. And again, that is also due to, in large part, Jaden Daniels trying to create something outside of the pocket, and then he gets caught. But this is an offensive line that also has to do a lot better job of protecting their quarterback. Other than that, they don't turn the ball over. They're great on third down. The pass game has been consistent all year long. It's an LSU offense that's going to do its work. And on the other side here, we talk about an LSU defense that, well, all in all has just been pretty solid all year long, right? Yes, there have been a couple hiccups here and there. You take a look at the second half against Florida State where they got shredded, and then you take a look there at the Arkansas game where they really were able to have their troubles, and a lot of their troubles center on third down. I'll be talking about that more here in just a little bit, but their third down percentage definitely can be improved. However, this is the team that, for the most part, defends really, really well. They're pretty physical. They're great on the ball, and they've generated 21 sacks so far this year as well. So for as much as their offense is not really helping to lessen the blow of what the other teams have been able to do in terms of getting pressure to the quarterback, the LSU defense has turned right around and said, hey, you think you can get to our quarterback, we can get to yours a whole lot better. And that's what they've done so far throughout the young season here through 4 games. Talking about the Ole Miss Rebels, we know what this offense is made of here. Sorry about that there. I had noticed that Ole Miss only had 47.3 yards per game, which I was like, hold on, I'm definitely missing a 0 in there. Yeah, 470.3 yards per game, which seems about right for this Ole Miss offense, given what we know they're capable of, led by a really, really good quarterback in Jackson Dart, 1,096 yards, 7 touchdowns, 2 picks, 63% completion percentage. Is also this team's leading rusher as well, while Quinshon Judkins still just hasn't really been able to find his rhythm, to a lot of people's surprise so far this season. Jackson Dart has really been able to take over here at times, right? 219 yards and 3 touchdowns for him. Judkins is still producing, just not at the level that he was last year, and we may have to accept that as the new reality for what Quinshon Judkins is going to put up. However, given his potential. I find it hard to believe that it's going to remain at this level for too much longer, but again, that remains to be seen. They're going to go up against a pretty physical defensive front here in the LSU Tigers, but the pass game working really, really well. They got some really good receivers in this room, going to be led by Jordan Watkins, Dayton Wade. I've talked about all these guys in videos before. They could also do a little bit better of a job at protecting the quarterback as well, and they could definitely do a lot better of a job here converting on third down, especially given the third down just trouble that LSU defense has. Again, we'll talk more about that later, but let's dive into the Ole Miss defense here. And well, they've been wildly inconsistent up to this point. While it definitely overall has taken some steps in the right direction, they're forcing turnovers, they're getting a lot of pressure to the quarterback. They've generated 14 sacks so far this season, so that problem is going to come in for the LSU Tigers, and specifically the Tiger offensive line. But especially in the pass defense, it's been a pass defense that's been pretty inconsistent so far. And with how consistent LSU's offense or passing offense specifically has been, that's going to bode really well there for LSU. However, the run defense has been really, really good. And again, as I said earlier, they're forcing a lot of pressure back there to the quarterback, but they can also improve on third down percentage there as well, which leads me into my keys for the game, what to watch for, just kind of some things I think you should keep an eye on when you are watching this game here, all right? The pass game is going to thoroughly test the shaky Rebel secondary. Here's where I throw some stats at you, right? Ole Miss was torched for, I believe, over 250, maybe even over 300 yards in both the games against Georgia Tech and in their most recent contest, the loss last week to the Alabama Crimson Tide, right? That secondary was really tore up, and the pass game was able to work against this Ole Miss defense if the run game was not. And given how consistent LSU's passing attack has been so far this season, well, the Rebels secondary definitely has their work cut out for them here. Also, when you take a look at the LSU Tigers, you could say the same for the Ole Miss Rebels here as well, but attack the offensive line. Yes, Quinshon Judkins has not been able to perform up to this point in the season, but if you can still be able to make him a non-factor, keep Jackson Dart in the pocket, and really make this offensive line work, hey, it's an LSU defensive front that has been really, really good at getting pressure to the quarterback. That should be able to continue here in this game. But I do have a question for LSU, and it's which LSU shows up, right? And specifically, I'm talking on third down, right? Is the LSU defense that's really, really good on third down? I mean, like the defense we saw against Mississippi State and the defense we saw against Grambling State? Or is the third down defense against Florida State and Arkansas going to rear its ugly head here, right? That's more of a defensive question, not an offensive question, given how consistent the offense has been. That's a defensive question for the LSU Tigers. Which defense are we going to get specifically on third down? The battle for third downs, as you can see, is a key point in this game. We'll talk even more about it here a little bit later, as now we dive into the keys for the Ole Miss Rebels. Steady tempo offense, right? They're going to need to come in, and they're just going to need to keep grinding away at this LSU defense. This Tiger defense is going to have its moments, and it's going to be able to generate the negative plays, maybe at times when it needs to, but Ole Miss has to stay strong, has to stay focused, and it cannot get off of its game plan, which is to go fast and which is to control the tempo and control the clock. That's what that's what Ole Miss is going to have to do. And defensively now, continue the stout run defense. As I said earlier, the Ole Miss run defense has been pretty solid for the most part of this season. In order to key in on this consistent LSU pass game, you got two wide receivers that, again, as I mentioned, in Neighbors and Thomas, that have just performed really, really well so far this season. Not a whole lot has really been able to slow them down. So you got to be able to key in on those guys there. But this run defense has to show up and perform first and foremost, right? But again, this passing attack a lot bigger of a concern than I think this LSU rushing attack is, right? And final time I will talk about third downs here. Well, can't really promise that, but win the battle on third downs. Again, LSU allowed over 60% conversion rate to both Florida State and Arkansas. They lost the game to Florida State, and the Arkansas game was a little bit too close for comfort. But with the way that Ole Miss has been struggling to really convert here on third down, it's leading me to favor the LSU Tigers. That's why Vegas is liking them here. I was kind of surprised to find that the FPI was in favor of Ole Miss here in this game, but I think LSU will be able to win the battle on third down, specifically with their defense being able to slow down the Ole Miss Rebels on third down, as just LSU's wildly inconsistent on third down defense, but so is Ole Miss, right? Especially on offense, and I think this passing game will be able to hit enough big plays to Neighbors, Thomas, and I think Kyron Lacey's going to have a pretty solid game here as well as the LSU Tigers. While the Rebels will have their moments, the Tigers will go in on the road and pull out a win in Oxford, getting them right back on track here into the SEC title race and effectively knocking Ole Miss out of that race there as well. Should be a fun one, though. I got the Tigers winning. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And hey, as always, remember to play hard but tailgate harder. See you guys in the next video. Goodbye.